who's worked with a candidate knows that getting a candidate to make phone calls is painful. Painful. They will find anything to do other than make those phone calls. So, but we persevered. We never lost hope. We knew people would ask me all the time, really, can Chip really win? And I was honest. I would always say, I know it's a long shot. I get that. I know it's a long shot, but it's a shot. We absolutely have a shot. And we knew, too, that a grassroots campaign might be all we get. We knew that we might never raise the money that we needed to do TV, to do radio, to do a real solid mail program. We didn't know if we'd ever really raise enough money to do that. And so we worked that grassroots extremely well, extremely well. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But that meant that Chip personally was in over 40 parades over the summer. If Chip couldn't be at the parade, we had a team at that parade. There was always, always, always representation for Chip wherever he was. He went to every bean feed, rubber chicken dinner, every county fair, anything we could find, every gun show, anything we could find. Chip was there. And he was happy to do it. I will say he was happy to do it. He was a great candidate that way. He was very willing to work hard. We traveled around this district in this crazy RV. I don't know if you've seen pictures of it, but we traveled around in this RV that was just really, it looked great because we had it wrapped. It looked really pretty, a nice rolling billboard. But mechanically, it was just awful. It was constantly breaking down. And it's an RV, but we were so cheap. We'd have 4 people traveling around the district, and we call them the toddler beds in the back because they were pretty short beds. None of the guys could sleep on those beds, which was nice for me. I always got a bed that way. But we would travel around the district. We'd have 2 people in the toddler beds. We'd have someone sleeping on the couch, and more often than not, we'd have somebody sleeping on the floor in this RV. I mean, talk about a grassroots campaign. There was no posh travel for us. It was ugly. It was ugly. But we persevered, and we did it. Like I said, often feel like we were spinning our wheels. But we kept going, and we did it, knowing that there was a shot. We could do it. And guess what? It worked. Fast forward, we hit September, and we decided at this point, again, we had raised a little over $200,000, which was enough to do some things. We were planning a good, solid meal program. But we had decided at that point, we hired someone to do just a little bit of outside fundraising with high donors to see if they could get any further with us. And at that point, we kind of thought, let's just run a poll. Let's see if we can come up with just one good statistic that we can take to donors and say, come on, please give us something. So we ran a poll, and interestingly, we worked with a couple of different pollsters before we decided who to go with. And we went with the poll that we knew we might not get quite as good of numbers, but we knew those numbers would be more accurate. So we went with that pollster. And that's when the poll was in the field for 3 days, and the pollster finally called and he said, "Are you sitting down?" And we chatted with him, and he said, "Well, Chip is within 3 points." You have no idea the flurry of activity in the office that day. It was absolutely game-changing. That was the point at which we knew, okay, we're in this. We really are in this. We can win this race. Very, very exciting. It was game-changing. It was absolutely game-changing. The time was right. The timing was perfect for that poll. We got it out. He's within the margin of error. It's game-changing. We're in the game. Oberstar agrees to do 2 debates. We start having money rolling in. All of a sudden, people are paying attention. Oh, this Chip Cravat guy, he's kind of interesting. Well, we knew that all along, of course. But Chip was all over the media now, and we didn't have to try. People were coming to us. It was amazing. It was just amazing. So that happened the very beginning of October. We had a very short period of time when Chip was really in the spotlight, a very short period of time. That was at the very beginning of October. October 19th was the day of the first Cravat-Oberstar debate. Perhaps you've heard about it? In fact, our good state senator, Amy Koch, just the other day, talked about an Oberstar moment. a phrase she coined because of this debate. It was amazing. We did a lot of prep work for that debate, and one of the things that we prepped with, we knew based on videos and whatnot, seeing Oberstar in the past, we knew he kind of had a temper, and we thought, well, that would be great if we could tap into that maybe. And so we did a lot of debate prep, and Chip certainly knew the issues. He was prepared on the issues. We didn't have to worry about that so much, other than being comfortable in that setting. But we said, okay, what we really need you to do, get him. Get him to show that temper. But let me say, we never dreamed that Oberstar would yell at his own constituents. He lost it. Yelled at his own constituents, called them members of the Flat Earth Society, which I assume most of the people in this room are. Except, of course, for our Democrat friend here taking notes. I'm watching. So we were now members of the Flat Earth Society. I mean, it was crazy, and that was it. That was it. That was the day we knew this is our race to lose. This is now our race to lose. That was the day. Let me just look here at my notes real quick. For the next 2 weeks then, again, knowing that it was our race to lose, we were very, very careful. We were very careful. Chip continued to do some media. We hit the airwaves. We were able to do a phenomenal TV ad. I don't know if you saw it, but it's a phenomenal ad. If you want to look it up, All Due Respect was the title of the ad. The tone was perfect. The tone was, listen, with all due respect, Congressman Oberstar served well, but it's time for change. We never, ever attacked Congressman Oberstar. We were respectful of the service that he had given to the 8th District, to our country, and I think that was to our benefit as well. And may I say as a side note, I think that's always the right answer. I think that is always the right answer. To be respectful of service, even if we don't agree with the values and the opinions, it is always the right answer to be respectful. So we had a phenomenal Get Out the Vote effort, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in a minute as well, but we had a phenomenal Get Out the Vote effort. Andy Parrish is here, he's with the Bachmann campaign. We had help from a lot of people who were willing to help us in those final days. We had a great organization ourselves to handle that. Again, it's a numbers game. We had brought Tony Post onto the campaign. Many of you know Tony. He's a very smart guy. He's good with numbers. He knew what we needed. He knew where those votes were coming from, and he knew how many calls were being made and who they were being made to. We had that down. Chip did a final tour around the district, 36 cities in 96 hours, one city for every year Congressman Oberstar had been in office. It was great. And then we hit election day. Now my understanding is that on election day, I could be wrong, but my understanding is that on election day, Congressman Oberstar gave a victory speech and went to bed.
Oh my land.
Now, we're looking at the numbers coming in and saying, well, sure, we're down, but these are our worst precincts. This is great. This is looking good. And so we were pretty excited, even with those early numbers coming in that, of course, had Chip way down. We were pretty excited. And then, of course, as the evening progressed, and by evening I mean wee hours of the morning, we knew, oh my goodness, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. Because some of the precincts that still had left to report, we knew we were going to blow them out of the water. And sure enough, well, 3 o'clock in the morning, I was with our attorney, and at that point we were compiling lists for a recount because we thought, okay, this is going to be too close. And then finally, by around 4 a.m., they called it for Chip. And unbelievable. It was unbelievable. Who knew that in a 70-30 district, against one of the most powerful members of Congress, with a complete unknown candidate, a campaign manager who, frankly, had never done anything in a campaign, could win. It was amazing. It was unbelievable. So.